Your father's hands are the color of the earth he works. Cracked at the knuckles, permanently stained along the creases, the kind of hands that tell you everything about a man before he says a single word. He wakes at 4:45 every morning. Not an alarm. He has not used an alarm since 1987. His body simply knows. He pulls on the same work boots he has worn for 11 years, resoled 3 times, and walks out into the dark Montana morning to check on the cattle before the sun comes up. He drinks his coffee black from a thermos that has a dent in it from the time it fell off the tractor. He has never replaced the thermos. It holds coffee perfectly well. He owns 2.4 million acres. You are 15 years old when your 8th grade history teacher assigns a project on American land ownership, and you spend a Tuesday evening at the kitchen table with your laptop doing research, and you find a name in a database maintained by the Land Report, an organization that tracks the 100 largest private landowners in the United States. The name is number 1 on the list. The name is your father's, Robert James Calloway. 2,412,000 acres across Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, and 4 other states. More land than the state of Connecticut. You read this sentence twice. Then you go to the kitchen and pour yourself a glass of water. Your father is sitting in his chair, watching the weather forecast on the television the way he does every evening before bed. His boots are by the door. His hands are in his lap. He looks exactly like what he has always looked like, a farmer at the end of a long day. You drink your water. You say goodnight. You go to bed and you lie there for a long time, looking at the ceiling of your bedroom in the farmhouse where you were born, and where your father was born, and where his father was born before him. Your farm, the home farm, the one you live on, is 4,800 acres outside of Billings, Montana. This is large by the standards of your neighbors and small by the standards of what your father actually controls. He runs 600 head of cattle on the home farm. He drives a 2008 Ford F-350 with a cracked windshield he has been meaning to fix since March. He fixes his own fences. He hires 4 ranch hands year-round and more during calving season, and he knows all of their names and the names of their children, and he has attended 2 of their weddings. He buys his coffee at the same diner in Billings every Saturday morning, black, no sugar, $2.40, and he sits at the counter and talks about cattle prices and weather patterns with men who have no idea that the quiet rancher on the corner stool controls more American land than anyone alive. The other 2.4 million acres he has assembled quietly over 31 years. Not quickly, not loudly, one parcel at a time, through a network of holding companies with names like Callaway Land Partners LLC and Western Range Holdings and 4 others, all registered in states with minimal disclosure requirements, all managed by a land attorney in Billings named Gerald, who has worked with your father for 28 years and who your father refers to simply as Gerry. The acquisitions are logged in property records that are entirely public and entirely unread by anyone who is not looking specifically for them. Your father has never hidden what he owns. He simply never mentioned it. There is a difference, he will tell you later, between a secret and something nobody asked about. The land itself is operational, ranching on 900,000 acres in Montana and Wyoming. Timber on 340,000 acres in Oregon. Conservation easements on another 600,000 acres that generate federal payments while protecting habitat. Agricultural leases on the remainder, farmed by other families who pay rent to holding companies whose names mean nothing to them. The total annual revenue from the land is $847 million. After operating costs, taxes, and the land attorney's considerable fees, the net is approximately $340 million per year. Your father's personal net worth, The last time Gerry calculated it was $6.2 billion. Your father does not know the exact figure. He has never asked Gerry to be precise about it. He considers the precision irrelevant. You ask him about it on a Saturday morning, 3 weeks after the history project. He is fixing a section of fence on the north pasture. You drive out to him in the farm truck, and you stand on the other side of the fence while he works, and you say, "Dad, I found the land report." He keeps working. He drives a fence post staple with 2 clean hammer strikes. Then he says, "I figured that would happen eventually." He says it the way he says most things, quietly, without drama, as if the conversation was simply the next item on the day's list. He sets the hammer on the fence rail. He looks at you with grey eyes that have been looking at Montana weather his whole life and know exactly what is coming before it arrives. He says, "What do you want to know?" You ask him why. Not why he bought the land. You understand land. You have grown up on it, worked it, learned to read it the way your father reads the sky. You ask him why he still fixes his own fences when he could hire anyone to do anything. He is quiet for a moment. He picks up the hammer again. He says, "Because the fence needs fixing." He says, "Because if I stop doing the work, I stop knowing what the work is." He says, "Because there is not a single thing that money can tell me about this land that I cannot learn better by walking it myself." He pauses. He drives another staple. He says, "Your grandfather built this farm with nothing. He left me the farm, and the understanding that the land is not something you own. It is something you are responsible for." I took that seriously. He gestures. At the fence, at the pasture, at the cattle visible in the distance, at the sky above Montana, that is the same sky it has always been. He says, "The rest is just paperwork." You work alongside him for the rest of the morning without speaking. At noon you eat the lunch your mother packed, sandwiches, an apple, water in a plain bottle, sitting on the tailgate of the 2008 Ford with the cracked windshield. Your father eats the same lunch. He looks out at the land, his land, 2.4 million acres of it, though you would never know it from the way he looks at this particular pasture, the same way he has looked at it every day of his life. Like it is enough. Like it has always been exactly enough. That evening you drive back to the farmhouse as the sun drops behind the mountains. Your father parks the truck. He pulls off his boots at the door. He washes his hands at the kitchen sink, the earth coming off slowly under the water, the creases still stained because they are always stained, because that is what 30 years of this work looks like. He pours himself a cup of coffee. He sits in his chair. He turns on the weather forecast. You look at his hands. 2.4 million acres. And all of it starts there.